and it's all over. Round 0, opening round, whatever you want to call it, is done and dusted. We move on to round 1 next week. We're going to go through and review the matches that made this round pretty special. It had everything, it had the big wins, the absolute upset wins, and just wins that no one saw coming. So buckle up, let's do this. Hello everybody, welcome back to another YouTube video, and as always guys, if you guys do end up enjoying what you're watching, make sure you drop me a like, subscribe, helps me out a lot, share the video with your mates, all that fun stuff, and yeah, let's just get into it. Kicking off opening round, we didn't have the traditional Richmond v Carlton, we had Sydney up against Melbourne over at the MCG. Swans were able to get the 4 points in the end. Sydney were 12-14-85, defeating Melbourne 9-10-64, beating them by 22 points. Yeah, look, it wasn't a great show of skill of what the AFL had to offer. It was very slippery conditions, a lot of dew on that ball. So, there was a lot of missed handballs, missed kicks, a lot of fumbles. So, look, it wasn't a great spectacle, but I thought it was still a pretty okay game. But God, Melbourne could not kick that ball inside 50 any worse. Like, their delivery was pretty shocking, to be honest. Like, they were just bombing it inside 50, hoping for Van Rooyen and Shaki or Bailey Fridge to come up and mark it. Like, it was just so easy for the Sydney defenders just to either hit it over the line or take an intercept mark. Like, it was just very easy for them. And saying that, it was actually a pretty quiet day for most of those forwards. Josh Shaki didn't touch the scoreboard. Van Rooyen kicked this freak goal out of nowhere, but other than that, he was pretty quiet all day. And the real decent forward up there was actually Bailey Fridge, who ended up kicking 4. Like, I think he ended up kicking like 3 in a row at one point. It was absolutely... He always seems to play well against Sydney. Like, he just seems to have his kicking boots on. Had that midfield in Melbourne who actually played pretty well. Both Viney, Petrarca, Oliver, all of them had plenty of the pill. Viney had an absolutely unreal game, 30 disposals, 2 goals. Petrarca had 26 and 1. And then Oliver, after his first game back, had 30 disposals as well. So that midfield was doing everything that they could except kick the ball well inside 50. And Max Gawn, he had a pretty good game. Sydney were just absolutely belting him from pillar to post every chance they had. They were giving him cheeky elbows, bumping him off the ball, making him really sore, and definitely showing that second half. Like, Gawn looked very, very sore in that second half, and that's probably why Brodie Grundy was able to get on top of him. Also because Brodie Grundy's a pretty handy player. But speaking of Grundy, wow, he had an absolutely unreal game. Finished the match with 26 disposals, 6 tackles, 9 clearances and 33 hit-outs. Absolutely dominant Brodie Grundy was against Max Gawn. I didn't see any ruckman do this the whole round. He actually took the space in the centre bounce, stopping Gawn's run, and was just made it so much easier for him to tap it down. Like, he stopped Max's run and jump and just pretty much nullified him, nullified the best tap ruckman in the game. Pretty handy players as well. Heaney bobbed up. He had a great game moving into that midfield. It's the game with 26 disposals and a goal. And then obviously you had the usuals of Blakey off halfback, Chad Warner, Rowbottom. Those types of guys always seem to get it done for the Swans. And yeah, it was a great win for the Swans. Hopefully they can back it up next week. For Melbourne, they still need to shuffle that forward 50. It just seems to be in shambles at the moment. But look, Cozzy Pickett should be back, I think, next week or the week after. So that should help them out a bit. Everywhere else they're pretty good. Down back, Stephen May and Jake Lever had pretty great games, and that midfield, is great. It's still great. It's just that forward line again that just seems to be the problem so far this year. Moving on to Friday night, we had one of the best games of the year already in round 0. It was Brisbane going up against Carlton. Carlton ended up winning by somehow 1 point. Brisbane were 12-13-85. Going down by the Blues, 13-8-86. This game was absolutely flipped on its head because in that first quarter, Brisbane Lions were absolutely dominant. Kicked 7 goals to Carlton's 2 in that first quarter, and it just looked like they were just going to run away with it. All their forwards seemed to hit the scoreboard. Hipwood bobbed up, Cameron bobbed up, Bailey bobbed up. Like, everything just seemed to be clicking extremely well. Like, the Lions were on. Like, they looked like they were going to kick a big score and not let the Blues in at all. The Blues were down at one stage by 46 points near the end of that second quarter, but then they slowly just chipped back that lead. And then in that third quarter, they had an absolute blitz. Somehow in that third quarter, the Blues flicked a switch, or the Lions just switched off, because they ended up kicking 7 goals to 1 and were absolutely in it. All the Blue Stars were up and about. Harry Mackay, everyone was going on about his goal kicking. He absolutely shut down the haters this week. He ended up kicking 3 goals. And then Curnow, continuing his great form from last year, kicked 4. So, when you've got them 2 going, it is pretty hard to stop the Blues, and they were able to just hold on after Harry Mackay sealed the game for them. Now, as for the Lions, they've got a lot of questions to ask themselves. Like, I don't understand how you lose from 46 points up. Like, really, they should have put the Blues to the sword and just kept going. But they just stopped. Put the Blues back in and they lost at home as well. Like, they were unbeaten all year last year, and then they go and lose. Like, yeah, it just blows my mind how Carlton were able to pull this off. Like, it's just incredible. Like, credit to the Blues, they were absolutely awesome this game. As a Richmond supporter, I'm very scared for next week. Moving on to Gold Coast versus Richmond on Saturday. The Suns beat the Tigers by a whopping 39 points. Suns were 14-15-99, defeating the Tigers 9-6-60. From the get-go, the Suns just had the Tigers' number. Like, they were absolutely dominant in that midfield from beginning to end. They just always seemed to be first to the footy. They were absolutely dominating in clearance, and I'll get to this bloke in a second. But Matty Rea had an absolutely unreal game in that midfield. Suns end up kicking 5-1 in that first quarter, so already they were putting the foot on the throat of the Tigers. But then in that second quarter, they kicked 6 unanswered goals, making it a 61-point lead at half time. So when I was watching, I was like, oh, we are going to lose by 100 points. Going back on that midfield, Rao dominated, Anderson, Miller, Flanders. Like, they were just first to the footy, and Richmond's midfield just looked slow, really. But you go into that third quarter, the Tigers made some moves, shuffled. I think they put Bolter up back. They moved Rioli. They gave Rioli and Bolton some more midfield minutes, and then suddenly they flicked a switch. And the Tigers kicked 6 goals to the Gold Coast 0 in that third quarter, and just gave us a little bit of a sniff. We watched it the night before. If Carlton can do it, Richmond, it could happen again. Like, it could genuinely happen again. Give it to Dylan Grimes, who gave away a pretty soft free kick in the forward 50, right in front of the umpire, just threw Berry, I think it was Berry, to the ground after he's kicked it out in the full, right in front of the umpire, and sealed the game. Like, that was our chance. If we kicked the first goal, we would have been okay in that last quarter. Like, we could have had a sniff, but that just killed all that momentum. So yeah, the Suns were able to run away with the win. The big 2 key pillars up forward for the Suns got the job done. Ben King kicked 5. The coaches kicked 3 goals. Miller had 28 disposals. Anderson had 25. Sam Flanders had 26. But then we get to Matty Rea. This was the reason he was the number 1 pick a couple of years back, because he's just an inside bull. Like, he gets so much hard ball, it's not funny. And finished the game with 33 disposals, 26 contested balls, a whopping 20 clearances. Like, he literally put the team on his back and got the job done, really, in that midfield. Like, that was just as one of the best games it probably is the best game of his career so far. And he's not it. Yeah, it's if he's doing that, God, look out. Like, Dimmer's got a weapon. He's got an absolute weapon. Suns look like they're going to be pretty good at home this year. It's just a matter of them playing away and seeing what that looks like. But look, they've got a really good game plan, obviously. But yeah, I'm hopeful what the Suns can do in 2024. As for the Tigers, yeah, I am. It's just going to be one of those years. I reckon we are in rebuild mode, unfortunately, and it's just the way it is. We can't always be at the top forever, and yeah. Now, I'm going to be making a more in-depth Richmond video sometime during the week before we verse Carlton on Thursday night. So tune in for that one. Anyways, go on to our last match for the opening round. It was GWS defeating Collingwood by 32 points. The Giants were 18-6, 114, defeating the Pies 11-16, 82. The Giants did come out to play in that first quarter, but the Pies did respond. It was a pretty even first quarter. The Giants kicked 5, the Pies kicked 3, so like I said, it was pretty even both ways. On the word go, the Giants were pretty dominant all day, really. In that second quarter especially, they kicked 10 goals to the Pies 6. From after half-time, they never looked back, really. They were absolutely dominant in that third quarter, leaving Collingwood goalless. Like, out of all teams, they left the reigning premiers goalless. Just shows how well the defenders are at the Giants. You got Sam Taylor, you got Isaac Cumming, you got Connor Iden, Harry Himmelberg, all very handy defenders. Players who they wanted to have the ball had plenty of it, and they used it extremely well. Lachie Whitfield had 33 disposals. Josh Kelly had over 30 and a goal. Tom Green, the machine, I think he's going to win the Brownlow this year. Lock that in. Had 30 disposals and a goal as well. Damon Canelio had 28 as well. Then up forward, they were absolutely dominant. It was unreal. Like, Callum Brown, out of all people, kicked 5. Jesse Hogan kicked 4. He's continuing his great form from last year. And the little pocket rocket Brett Daniels bobbed up and kicked 4. So, when all those people were firing, you put on that Toby Green, he also kicked 1. Like, it's just, that forward line is very handy, very, very handy. The inside 50s, it was very even. Like, it was, Giants had 53, the Collingwood had 60, but it was just a matter of efficiency going inside 50. Like, the Giants still won very convincingly. Like, just the Pies, the way they kicked it inside 50, just completely hindered their forwards, and it showed. Myercheck, who bobbed up and kicked 3, which was good. Bobby Hill, Norm Smith kicked 2. But other than that, you couldn't really find any of their forwards. Cox had no impact. Lockie Schultz had no impact. But granted, that is his first real game for the club, so it's still going to take him a bit of time to, gel with the forwards and the midfield, all that kind of stuff. And Ash Johnson couldn't get near it either. But then I was shocked to see this, that Darcy Moore only had 9 disposals. Like, no wonder, like, whoever he's on, Hogan or Brown, no wonder they kicked a bag on him. He was pretty, for your key back to have only 9 disposals I was a bit shocked when I saw the stats at the end of the night. I was like, oh, geez, you're not going well when your full backs only touch the ball 9 times. Credit's due. Some of their players actually did have pretty good games. Nick Dacos had 34 and he kicked a goal, and then his brother as well had a good game, 28 disposals. So look, there were some positives out of the game, but Craig McRae's a great coach. I'm sure they're going to take a lot out of this game and then just keep improving. They're the reigning premiers for a reason. I hope that no one's writing them off yet, because we all know what Collingwood like to do. They just seem to find a way to win, and with how great of a coach Craig McRae is, I'm sure they're going to fix whatever problems they have and be up there again this year, that's for sure. As for the Giants, that was a great win. They just need to keep it up all year, and if they do that, look out, they're gonna cause some trouble. But yeah, that was my review for round 0 / opening round, whatever you want to call it. If you guys did end up enjoying the video, make sure you drop me a like, comment down below what you guys thought, subscribe, all that kind of stuff. Share this video with your mates, helps me out a lot. And yeah, I will see you guys in the next video. Cheers.